Little Red Riding Hood's favorite color. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived in the village near the forest. Whenever she went out, the little girl wore a red riding cloak. So everyone in the village called her Little Red Riding Hood. One morning, Little Red Riding Hood asked her mother if she could go to visit her grandmother, as her grandmother was not feeling well. "That's a good idea," said her mother. Mr. Wolf was just outside their house and heard their plan. "Yeah, that's a good idea," he thought. Then he left. Mother packed a nice basket of goodies for Grandma and helped Little Red to put on her beautiful red riding cloak. But Little Red Riding Hood was not happy and refused to go. She asked her mother, "Why do I always wear this red cloak, Mother?" She took it off and put on the purple one. "I will wear this purple cloak. Purple is my favorite color," said Little Red. "No, not the purple," said her mother. "But why?" asked Little Red. "Because you are called Little Red Riding Hood. You have to wear the red one. Otherwise your friends won't recognize you," said her mother. "That doesn't matter. They can call me Little Purple Riding Hood. Bye, Mother." And she grabbed the basket and rushed out of the house at once. Mr. Wolf arrived at Grandma's house before the girl. Once he got into the house, he gobbled poor Grandma up. Mr. Wolf put on Grandma's nightgown, and a sleeping cap. Do I look like Grandma?" "Perfect." After a while, Little Red Riding Hood knocked on the door. Knock, knock, knock. Mr. Wolf jumped into bed and pulled the covers over his nose. He pretended Grandma's voice and said, "Oh, my lovely Little Red, come in, my dear." When Little Red entered the little cottage, Mr. Wolf was so surprised. Then he asked, "Why don't you wear the red cloak?" Little Red could recognize the wolf in Grandma's nightgown and was curious. It's the wolf. Why is the wolf on Grandma's bed? Then she stood at the door and said, "Why not?" "Because purple is my favorite color," said Little Red. Why don't you ask me what long ears I have?" Little Red shook her head and said nothing. "Why don't you ask me what big hands I have?" Little Red shook her head and said nothing. "Why don't you ask me what big mouth I have?" Again, Little Red shook her head and said nothing. Mr. Wolf was so nervous because this Little Red was so different. Little Red put her hand into the basket and grinned a naughty grin. "Can you guess what I've brought to you?" asked Little Red. Mr. Wolf thought it must be a gun, and he was so scared he covered his eyes. No! 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. He found himself was not shot. He opened his eyes and saw that Little Red was holding a purple apple in her hand. Mr. Wolf was relieved and took the purple apple, and ate it in one bite. Mr. Wolf thought this Little Red was still a stupid little girl, and there was nothing to be scared of. He laughed so loud with his mouth wide open. Ha 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 ha! Then he found that he could not close his mouth and could not stop laughing. His stomach was aching. Suddenly, something was thrown out from his mouth. "Grandma!" cried Little Red and hugged her grandma. "What happened?" asked her grandma. "Ha ha ha! I found the purple apple next to some pretty flowers and gave it to Mr. Wolf," she explained. "A purple apple? I've never seen one. Anyway, thank God you were saved, Little Red," said her grandma. "Help! Help!" cried Mr. Wolf. Finally, Grandma called the zookeeper and took the laughing wolf to the zoo. When Little Red went home and told the story to her mother said, "What a stupid wolf! Who would eat a purple apple? And thank this purple rounding clock, it is the lucky color," said her mother. From then on, Little Red Riding Hood could wear the clock in whatever color she liked. The end. Thank you.